Hi there folks, welcome back to Rich Reviews. I hope you're having a wonderful Saturday and your weekend is enjoyable, and hopefully you're enjoying this fall weekend. Now, when I first saw the trailer for this particular film, I found myself thinking, do I really want to watch this film? But considering the fact that it's nearing Thanksgiving and I want to at least pad out a worst of the year list, I found myself thinking, I might as well see this to see if it can easily make my worst of the year list. And what do you know, it is definitely making my worst of the year list. This film is called Apex, and this is the long line of the Most Dangerous Game story. Now apparently when I was looking up this film, I come to learn that this is a remake of another film about the Most Dangerous Game, and that was Surviving the Game. That was directed by Ernst Dickerson, starring Ice-T, Rutger Hauer, Gary Busey, Charles Dutton, and a couple other people that probably didn't make past the 1990s. Now, when I saw the trailer, I found out, oh yeah, this had Bruce Willis and Neil McDonough and a couple other people who look like they're just a whole bunch of people that are like, hooray, I get to star in a film with Bruce Willis. Well, that should not be considered a compliment because, let's face it, Bruce Willis has just given up actually trying to give in a performance. Now, earlier this year, I happened to saw Cosmic Sin, which quite frankly was a piece of shit, and he happened to drag Frank Grillo into that mix, playing Kostas Matador and apparently the wrestler Lana, and basically they're all embarrassed to be in that piece of shit. At least Frank Grillo has the audacity to at least leave the production halfway through and appear at the end. The only interesting thing about this film that I learned is that this was shot in Vancouver, or particularly in the woods of Vancouver, because let's face it, we all would like to see the woods of Vancouver portrayed beautifully this time of year. And again, it's another story of how, oh look, this is how rich people do it these days. It's in the future. I don't know when it's in the future, nor do I care to know when it's in the future, but it's apparently in the future. If I mention enough times that this thing is in the future, folks, and Neil McDonough is basically a rich bastard. And also, let me state that Neil McDonough is basically doing Neil McDonough and having a whole bunch of Neil McDonoughisms. He's given monologues in this film that a writer probably either high or just was like, I have nothing else to say or do. Let me give the character actor of the moment, who can be a complete badass or just slimy in general, give them these lines and hope for the best. The actor is like, wow, this makes no sense, or it makes sense only in my mind. And again, Neil McDonough gives those lines his slimy, charmy best. It's incomprehensible, but hey, look, it works. Bruce Willis, once again, barely acting and barely doing much of anything. And if you were to watch the trailer, you would think to yourself, okay, Bruce Willis gets to kill a whole bunch of people. Well, that's not true here, because Bruce Willis, all he does is walk around the woods of Vancouver here, folks. He plays Thomas Malone, which, again, if you think to yourself, oh look, Thomas Malone must be an interesting character. No, he really isn't. Now, all throughout this film, some actors talk about the Bruce Willis character as like that if he was some kind of action star from the 90s, which of course Bruce Willis actually was. But alas, this thing just utterly reeks of nothingness. And at least at some point, when one of these characters actually catches up to Bruce Willis, they basically say to him, oh yeah, you look like you've been around the block. Bruce Willis's response, dude, I created the block. Is that really interesting? No, I really don't. There's a hot smoking babe in this thing. I mean, does she get to shoot off a gun? Yes. Is the gun cool looking? Sure. And then, of course, we get a cute babe as well, who's a hologram in this thing. And she basically spouts out dialogue and is like, okay, can I look at least cute in this outfit? Congratulations to her. At least all the hunters are killing themselves off. Why? Because apparently Bruce Willis probably wasn't interested in killing people. And at least one person gets a death scene, or at least is injured. And that injury is so laughable that I was just sort of like, wow, the special effects here are really garbage. And the confrontation between Bruce Willis and Neil McDonough is just plainly laughable. I feel sorry for Bruce Willis, I really do, because once he was a great action star, racking in millions of dollars, married to Demi Moore. Lately I've been seeing these B-list films with the likes of, Morgan Freeman, Anthony Hopkins, and, Nicolas Cage. Only Nicolas Cage seems to embrace the inherent goofiness of the idea that I am in these really odd films. Bruce Willis just looks like, okay, can I get a paycheck here? And so in the end, folks, what I'm going to say, I'm proudly giving this thing, and only see it when you're drunk. It'll be a notch below Cosmic Sin, because Cosmic Sin was just our nonsense to begin with. So people, Apex, have you seen this? I hope to God that you haven't seen this, because why waste your time? So folks, like, comment, subscribe, and enrich yourself with knowledge. I'll be back next time, hopefully with a really good film for people to talk about and discuss on this channel, whether or not people comment at all. I'll see you next time, folks. Michael Rich2, Richards2 on Twitter. See you next time. Hooray.